guys, we're back again with episode 10 of the Bettor Podcast. I made this guy wait, so I apologize in advance already, but I'm really excited about this episode. He's known for not holding back and really speaking his mind. He's been in the PSL for over a decade. He's been there, done that. And he's definitely been silencing some of his critics over the past couple of seasons. None other than Daniel Cardoso. I don't know if to say Sekhukhune or former Sekhukhune player, but welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I was going to say, you apologize, but time is money. So
Yeah, definitely. Just got my days mixed up today. But just starting with the Sekhukhune, back-to-back now, CAF qualifications. The first time was a cup final. Second time now you're coming fourth in the league. So it's been actually a good season. But at the same time, there's a bit of instability there now, uncertainty as well. Who's going to be the head coach? Some of your senior players, or who's going to stay? So do you know if you're staying, you're going? The other players know?
yeah, like you say, it's uncertainty for everyone. Still waiting to have a team meeting and see what happens and going forward from there. But they haven't said much. They haven't communicated much. But once, I think later in this week, after maybe the elections and everything, they'll probably call us in and have a final team meeting. So until then, we don't know what's happening.
But in terms of the coach also, you started the season with Brandon Trutte. He did really well when he came in. They took you guys to Nedbank Cup final. He had Nhlolo Siema. He did really well when he came in, especially after the break. You guys went from looking to consolidate the top 8 to maybe just get into top 8 to being, in and amongst top 3, top 4. So how has the season been for you? Working with different coaches. Would you say it was a successful season for you guys?
Yeah, look, it's been a roller coaster this season. We had obviously Mr. Trutte taking us from the beginning of the season through pre-season and all of that. And unfortunately, the results weren't coming our way. And you could see that we were sitting, I think it was 12th or 11th, quite low down in the league. And obviously, the management took action and brought in Siema. And he came there, and he's an old school coach. He's a coach that likes hard work and running, and it worked out for us. I mean, we went on a great unbeaten run for, I think it was 8 games or 7 games. We won 6 out of those games. And unfortunately, we lost to Sundowns, and it took us right up to the top of the table. So he came in, he done well, and finishing 4th. I mean, it's the highest they've ever finished. Sekhukhune, well done to them, and hopefully they go on and finish higher. I mean, I think if we had won our last 2 or 3 games, we would have been up there at second. I saw Pirates drop points, Stellenbosch drop points. So we shot ourselves in the foot. And yeah, it's one of those things, but we still qualified for Africa, which I think is a nice achievement for the club once again. This year obviously was a learning curve for us to see how it is. And now next year I'm sure they'll prepare better for Africa.
And how was it? Especially if you're an inexperienced club, you might find some struggles going into Africa. We saw Marumo Galan struggle with it. The Victor League campaign, was it smooth sailing, the CAF campaign?
Look, I don't think they prepared as well as expected. I mean, it's costly, first of all. It comes out of club's pocket. And I think it's every stage or every round that you go through to, you get paid out. And unfortunately, we got kicked out in the group stages, but it's an experience for them. I mean, the traveling, the cultures, eating. When you're in Africa, it's not the same as South Africa. The food isn't the same. I know Sundowns take their own chef whenever they go because they don't know what they eat. That side, it's just it's a culture shock, but it's a nice experience for some of the players that haven't been there. I've been there quite a few times now with Chiefs. We got to the final. Before that, when Steve was coaching, we were playing in the CAF. So yeah, it was, for some of the guys, they loved the experience, and let's see how it goes next season.
I'm going to come back to Sekhukhune because you said something now interesting that I actually been thinking about for a while. For all people criticizing you. You've played a CAF Champions League final against Al Ahly. I think you guys played in Casablanca, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That time was still COVID, so there wasn't fans. So I don't think it was like the true experience of a Champions League final. But you were there. They've just won again now. 5 now in the last 4 seasons, including that game. Why do you think they're so dominant in this competition, having seen it firsthand?
Look, I think if you look at their league, Egypt's not a very competitive league. So for them, Africa is one of the biggest trophies they can win. I think in Egypt you got Zamalek, Pyramids, and Al Ahly.
Yeah.
I think that's our only 3. So they dominant in Africa, and I think for us to be on the map and to get rolling on the map for African football, Sundowns need to start focusing on winning that one. I mean, they're cruising every season with the league. They have a massive squad where they can rotate. They can have a team for competing and winning. I believe they can still win the Champions League. And in our league, it's a lot tougher. As you've seen, a lot of the smaller teams have actually started throwing their hands up. I mean, look at Stellenbosch. They've been outstanding the past 2-3 seasons. You got us, Sekakune, that are doing well at the moment. Golden Arrows compete in the beginning of the season. Golden Arrows, and then they slump away. So I think their league is a lot easier, and that's why they flourish in Africa, because they want to win the African Champions League.
Yeah, I think their league does also accommodate. I think they played like 17 games. They still have to finish the season.
That's another thing. I mean, if you look at us, we got domestic, we got cups. We got our league is quite big, and then you still got empty and 8. Sundowns play at least 60 games plus a season. Bafana also, so it's tiring.
But I mean, just that experience of being in the final as well. How tough was it?
No, it was tough. I mean, look. I think if you plan properly, like we did with Chiefs, I mean, we weren't doing too well in the league, so we actually planned to get to the final of but it's not easy. I think our hardest game must have been the team from Morocco. Wydad. I think they're one of the best teams in Africa. And to go on and beat them and then lose in the final, I think the red card killed us a bit just before halftime, because we were 0-0. But lovely experience. Obviously, the experience would have been better if the fans were there, and I think it would have hyped us up more. And also, we went into the final with a bit of inexperience. We didn't have players. Players were injured. Like you said, it was a long season for us. But it's just a great experience after everything that happened.
I mean, that team, okay, not everyone can get to a Champions League final, for example. I think Sundowns got to the final when they won it in 2016. So it's no easy feat. How did you guys manage to achieve that with a transfer ban, an inexperienced squad? Young Njabulo Blom, Ngobo, Mashiane, and obviously Gavin even lost his job in that season. You know what I mean? So you just said you guys made a concerted effort to try and do well in the competition. So was it a mental thing, like to say we're really going to push this? What do you mean by that?
Look, I think if in Africa you win all your home games, and you go over there and you play for a draw, and that was our mentality, you know. So it's even if we won 1-0, yeah, we go there, we draw 0-0. We know that because it was home and away, and I think it was still back then was away goals rule. It's the same thing when we played against Wydad. We beat them 1-0 there, and we came back and we sat. We defended for 90 minutes. Wasn't easy, but I mean, Africa, the teams aren't the greatest. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's why Marumo done so well.
Tactically, or
I think they're just very physical and they're big boys in Africa. But playing wise, they're not the best. Yeah, you like you say, tactical isn't their best suit unless you're playing against Al Ahly and the Moroccan teams, the Egypt teams. But like the rest of Africa, it's just big physicality, and we small boys.
Okay.
Our boys are a lot smaller compared to some of the African giants over there.
So it's the physicality and obviously the home ground advantage, intimidation. And
also, the fields in Africa aren't the greatest.
Okay. Why do you think Coach Gav also didn't really make it? Was it maybe his personality, or was it just the results not coming with the group? Maybe high expectations because he's a serial winner?
Yeah, I think with Coach Gav, the transfer ban obviously killed him a bit. He would have loved to have brought in some of his own players. And I think that makes a big difference. I mean, when a coach comes in, he wants to work with the players that he knows, that he trusts. And unfortunately, it didn't go his way. And I guess that's football. You don't really have answers for that. I mean, it's one of those things.
Going back to Sekhukhune now, obviously your coach, Siema, was placed on special leave. That was the statement, so to say. But there were some players speaking, off the record and things like that, saying that he fell out of favor with some senior players, like your Sangares, your Jima left, which was a long-serving partner, Mokocho and things like that. Is that the truth? You fell out with some of the...
No, it's not the truth. Obviously, coach and some players will clash, but everything got sorted. Everything. He's like a manager, He's very good at what he does. If he has a little argument with a player, he'll go to the player and they'll fix it straight on the spot. So I don't think that's the case. Special leave, we're still waiting to hear if he's still going to be part of us or what's happening. Nothing's been announced as yet, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with him.
So even with Jamie, they also had a bit of a fight. It was normal?
Yeah, it's normal. Normal. Coaches and players are going to clash. You've seen it in Europe, you've seen it here. And it will always happen, no matter who comes in, no matter who. If he stays, there's still going to be clashes, there's still going to be arguments. So it's part of the game, and I think it's two men, and after the game, they shake hands, and that's how it goes.
So do you think, I don't know, you're not a decision maker, but you can give your opinion. Do you think they should make up and he's a good man to take the team forward, take them back into Africa, or do you think maybe a more modern coach, modern approach, maybe even somebody from overseas to come in to take the next step for the club?
Yeah, look, I think he done well. He done exceptionally well to bring us back up into fourth, and we had a good run under him. But that's obviously the club's choice. He done well with us now, and I do believe that he still will do well with us. And like I said, the club has to make a decision on that, and then we'll see from there.
So you personally, how many years do you think you still have? I think last season you were one of 2 or 3 players that to play every minute of the PSL season. This season not so much, but you were still a regular. You played with Jima, you played with Yamba. So yeah, how much do you feel you still have to give?
Still another 2 or 3 years. This season I think I've missed 3 PSL games. And I think in Africa I didn't play much, but obviously we're saving ourselves for the PSL and all of that. But yeah, I'll give myself another 2 or 3 years, depending on how my body goes, how the recovery goes. But I still feel fit, I still feel strong, and I'm not nowhere near ready to retire.
So when you're 35 years old, how many other players are done by 33, 34 in the PSL? What have you been doing different in terms of your professionalism on and off the field?
Yeah, look, I think just in general, partying, going out, drinking, I think that does kill a lot of the players. I mean, we're training every day. You can't go home and sip on a beer, or you can't go home and do the wrong things, So I think looking after eating the right things, your nutrition, the way you train, how you manage yourself. There's a few things to it, ice baths. The list goes on, but I think anything after 30 is when you should start looking after yourself. And I've done so, when I was about 29, 30, I just opened my eyes and realized that I do want to make my career a lot longer than it should be, and it's worked for me.
Do you think being like family orientated also helps.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my kids and my missus is a big inspiration for myself, spending as much time as I can with them. We are away a lot now also with playing in Polokwane. So when I get home, it's family time, and it's nice to sit down with them, sit at home, play, and they also bring me a lot of joy.
But I mean, many of the Sundowns players were like saying that they hardly ever see their families. How do you keep that balance, like just to be happy? Because I mean, at some point, I'm sure when you're going to Congo or Tunisia or Algeria, you're like missing like crucial, time with my kids when they're growing up and things like that.
Yeah, that's sacrifice. I mean, to be a footballer, that's sacrifice. You miss weddings, you miss birthdays, you miss a whole lot of stuff, and players must remember that it's a short career. After 10, 15 years in your career, you need to find a job. So you got to make the most of it now and sacrifice. And whatever happens while you're traveling and all of that, it's life. Life goes on. And I think, like you say, the Sundowns boys hardly see their family, and they're away. I see they even train at like 6 and 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's tough, but that's what we chose to do, and that's the sacrifices we make.
So don't you think it's embarrassing that they have that type of schedule and they still win the league by 23 points?
Yeah, look, it is. It just shows you a lot about our league. I think that they will dominate our league for a few years to come still, and it's an unfortunate truth. And I think if clubs do want to start competing, then Sundowns splash cash. It's the sad reality that every season they buy. You can see some of the foreign boys that come in 60 million rand. No other club is doing that, and I think they're far above the rest, and they pay their players very well. So in football, it's a business now. It's no more passion. You get 1 or 2 players who play for passion, but it's a business now, and people are chasing the money.
So I mean, there's obviously going to be people who says money don't play football, blah 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 blah. But then does that also go down? Okay, yes, they've got good players. Yes, they spend money on good players. But then also doesn't it come down to organization, experience, coaching?
Of course. It's your whole background. It's your management, it's your staff, it's your physios, it's your doctors, it all comes down to that. And Sundowns, they've also built their own village now. I think it's only them and Chiefs who have built a facility and a training ground, and I think it's done them well. You can see how far they've got, and well up to them.
But one of the things that if you look at, let's say Sundowns dominating domestically, let's say Al Ahly dominating continentally, something that is evident is that they have a core of the same squad. The team that beat you guys, Chiefs, in Casablanca with Al Ahly, 7 of those people that was in the starting 11, I think they started or won the title now in 2024. So does that also like speak to maybe a trick that the other clubs who are not so successful, should be successful, let's say Pirates and Chiefs, is that they don't have this core squad that's winning together? Like Sundowns, you have Onyango is still there, you have Themba Zwane that's still there, Peter Shalulile has been there for a while. These guys that really grow and win together.
Yeah, the chemistry is very key in staying on a winning streak. Look at Sundowns. They hardly changed their team, even if they were playing in Africa or playing domestically. They kept the core, and I think that just shows continuity. And it shows how much they trust their boys. Even though Sundowns had brilliant players without that starting 11, they can field another 2 starting 11s from that side.
Yeah.
So it just shows you they do keep the core, and I think, like you said now with Al Ahly, how many seasons is that? 5 seasons?
Yeah.
And 7 of those players are still stuck with the same team, and that's 4 out of 5 seasons while they're winning Champions League.
But I mean, as a player as well, like Al Ahly is not gonna, just using it as them as a reference point, they're not gonna have 13 players in, 13 players out. When you come to the training ground for pre-season and 13 of players that you were playing with last season are gone and 13 are in. How does that feel? Like immediately when you walk onto that pitch for the first preseason?
No, it's hard. It's hard because you got to build new relationships. You got to build a whole new system. They got to learn They got to learn the system. If you have a new coach coming in, we got to adapt to that. And I think that's also why I think a lot of teams struggle in South Africa is because of all the changes that happen frequently. I mean, every season you see 15 players out, 15 players in. And it breaks down everything, and that's where we struggle.
And the coaching thing as well, like if you're getting a new coach all the time, how do you adapt to it? Is it frustrating?
Yeah, the philosophy is always different. You know, a coach comes in there and you got to change your whole. He might like a 3 at the back and 5 midfielders and this, and so you got to change it all. So it is difficult. But it's football. I mean, it's not going to change, and it's never going to change. And we just got to face it. And as players, we just got to work with whoever comes in.
But I mean, you've been working with some good coaches like Brandon and our CMA. Where do you think, like, okay, going to Truther, for example, he did really, really well. What is that moment where things just stop working? Because obviously a change was needed. But where is that moment? Did they lose the dressing room? Is it?
No, not at all. Obviously, the results didn't come our way. Scoring is a problem in our country.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it is. You've seen it every week. So I think, you don't win games. You lose 1, 2, 3, 4. So the bosses start panicking a bit, and that's when the changes start happening. And that's, I think we do need to start trusting coaches more. And hopefully whoever walks in or Siema continues with us, that they can trust him and let him go for a full season and not change halfway through the season.
So you've never seen like a case of like throughout your career, like a player power thing that they talk about where players get coaches sacked? Or?
No, I've never seen that. I've never worked with players who wanted a coach sacked. Maybe they don't like the coach, but I don't think I think that's all just people in the media saying, obviously, this player's done this and sabotage, but I've never seen any of that. No.
So there's been a clean, I would say, clean season with your squad, no issues, nothing like that. Okay, so a couple of months ago, when you joined Sekhukhune, basically 2 seasons ago, you got a lot of flack because you said there's certain people that weren't professional at Chiefs and blah, 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 blah. They did this, they did that. You said you don't regret it. But now, over the past 2 years, I think you've been vindicated because there were a couple, I'm not going to mention names, but there were a couple of players who left Chiefs and at their next clubs, they lost there less than 6 months because of disciplinary issues. So do you feel like you were kind of vindicated in what you said because you were criticized very highly for saying that?
Yeah, look, I think in football, people don't like to hear the truth. It's as simple as that. People hate hearing the truth, and we need to stop powder-coating it. I mean, if you heard the TS Galaxy coach, he's the same. He's brutal. He talks his honest opinions, and it's how people take it. It's one of those things, and if you don't like the truth, don't read the media. If you, it's one of those things, and I mean, you've seen it over and over again. That there's always stories of this one drinking, that one drinking, this one smoking, and it's going to happen like that all the time. Some of it's true, some of it's not. But like I said, the truth always comes out. People don't like the truth, and if you don't like it, it's one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you've done better than the club now since leaving. I mean, coming fourth now, they came 10th and also a cup final. So, I mean, the criticism against you maybe was a bit over the top. So
yeah, but I think also for me, criticism, I don't read into it. I don't. It happens all over the world. Criticism, and I shut it out. I don't listen. I put my blinkers on and I carry on. At the end of the season, my stats talk, and that's it.
So you also said that maybe going for a youthful approach was the wrong way, and also again you were right. But where do you think, having been there for almost 10 years, where do you think is the actual problem? Because there's been different coaches now, there's been different players, and to the club's defense, when the season started and we saw the names that they signed, we saw the positivity that they were bringing through, many people thought, okay, they're doing things right. They're signing good players that were on form at different clubs, but boom, even worse than the season before. So where is it going wrong? Because they're changing coaches, they're changing players. You know what I mean? They're signing players who were in form at other clubs the previous season. So where's it going wrong?
Look, I don't think this is for me to comment. I don't want to open up a book of worms, and they're in the past, and good luck to them, and I wish them all the best in the future. I do hope that they start coming up again, especially for the fans. I think the fans deserve it. As you can see, the fans are starting to get very impatient. And I don't think I want to comment on them. I think I've burnt my fingers that way, and it's better just to keep quiet. So,
there's one thing I actually spoke to you about previously as well, is that we were going through your youth career now, and you played for a couple of clubs, Supersport, Wits, Jomo Cosmos, Yeboyes United, and things like that. I also asked Michael Morton the same thing. Where is all your peers, like, just to say, be blunt, the white players that you played with? What happened to all of them? Because I'm sure Michael said there was a lot of talented boys that he was playing with. What happened to all of them?
Yeah, look, I think I just think in general, white boys, they get to a certain age where they just give up. Partying, lifestyle. A lot of the parents are rich. Different sports come into place, rugby, cricket, and they just tend to lose passion for the game. And it's only the ones that really want it and really want to make a career of it that actually sit and stick it out. I've had so many friends that should have gone pro, and they lost interest. I think it's when you get to 15, 17, you're trying different things, you're doing different things, and I think you lose the passion then.
So what inspired you?
Oh, I just wanted it. I've always, my dad obviously pushed me to where I should be today, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I am today. He was a big inspiration for me. There was many times I did want to give up.
What made you want to give up?
Just politics in football. It happens still till this day, and also our white boys don't fit in with the cultures of the black boys, like going to academies and all of that. And I think I was fortunate to be in a lot of academies, and also Cosmos was a great academy I was part of. That also taught me the culture, being part of Yeboyes. There's so many, and I think I wanted it so badly that I made it.
So did you do different things, like, let's say, because you wanted it badly, and by different things I mean like getting in touch with the culture, learning their languages and things like that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're around them 24/7. They're your brothers wherever you are. With Sekukure, they're my family. Those players are my family. They're like my brothers. So you have to adapt, and if you don't adapt from a young age, I think you'll struggle going on into making it into a pro and going into academies.
So Shaba ironically said something. He said if he didn't go to Free State Stars, he probably would not have had the career that he had because of the hunger going into a more, it's a rural area, and playing football there gave him. So how the hell did you end up at Free State Stars, being at all these different clubs in Johannesburg? How did you end up there, and how did that shape you?
Yeah, look, I think if I didn't end up at Free State Stars, I wouldn't have played anymore. Like I said, I was losing my passion. I went to trials on various teams, and they just shut the door on me, and it was hard. And when I went from Wits to Highlands, I even told my dad, I said to my dad, look, it's going to be my last 6 months of playing football. I need to make money. I'm not gonna.
Is that like what Vodacom?
Vodacom, we were in the Vodacom League, and I said to him, I need to make money. I can't sit and 2,000 rand, 1,500 rand. You can't have luck at. And he said to me, look, go there, play your last 6 months. If it doesn't work out, you can come work for me, or you can go do a apprenticeship and start studying something. And I said, no, that's fine. And I didn't even take it serious. The last 6 months, I used to be a heavy drinker.
Used to be.
I used to be a heavy drinker. I used to go to training. I used to go to the games after a night out in the Vodacom League and play. And I didn't take it serious at all.
Okay.
And
you were a striker that time?
I was a striker. I was no. I was actually from Wits to Highlands. I was playing centre back already.
Okay.
And the one Friday night we were playing in Alexandra against Alexandra United, and my coach said to me, hey, these oaks have been watching you for a while now, Free State Stars, and they've been tracking you and all of that. And I said, I didn't pay interest. I thought, and we had a brilliant game. I think we won 3-0. And after the game, they pulled me aside, Temba Sitole and the guys from Free State Stars, and I signed a pre-contract the next day. So, yeah.
Temba's been
crazy.
Around.
Yeah, crazy.
So, you obviously went to Free State with a bit of a culture shock, and how was the experience there?
No, look, I think it was the best thing for me, getting out of Joburg. Like I said, the life... being in Joburg, I've seen it with other players too. It catches up to them. It swallows them. City life is nightlife. And in Bethlehem, there was nothing. It was a training ground and home.
Yeah.
There wasn't even a shopping centre up.
Still alcohol.
Still alcohol, but I signed a pro contract and things changed, and I saw things different. And like I said, it was training and home. There was no movie houses. There was no. It was hard, but it cemented me into who I am today.
And that obviously gave you the desire for the longevity, because I finally made it.
Of course. Then all that relief just comes off your chest, and you can breathe again. So
you worked with Coach Steve that entire tenure. He's highly rated. But he also gets a lot of flack to this extent as this guy's not won trophies and things like that. Do you think he's been unlucky over his coaching career?
Yes, he's a very good mentor. I speak to him every now and then. Great. He's the one that actually signed me at Free State Stars. And I look up to him. He's a gentleman. His words are inspiring, even though people think he oversays. But he's a true gentleman, and I'm glad that he went on to Sundowns and he finally won some trophies. And I do believe that he still will win trophies once he has the right team and he forms his right team again.
He's actually been linked to Sekhukhune. I've read in the media now.
Yes, I read this week.
Do you think he could be a
candidate, yeah, but also he's just joined Golden Arrows again, so I don't think Golden Arrows are going to let him go. They've also just picked up results, they've been winning, so I don't think he'll leave Golden Arrows and come over.
Over the course of the season, you've obviously played against almost every team now. Has there been any players this season that's really stood out for you? I'm not talking about now about the awards or footballer of the season or anything like that, but I'm just saying you personally, you're a very experienced players. Any players that you just wow, been seriously good this season? Yeah,
there has been. There's a lot of boys at Stellenbosch that have really put their hands up. I mean, even look at Andre de Jong. He's had a great season that side. Cape Town City boys have been putting their hands up. There's so many youngsters that have been playing well. Even if you look at Chiefs, Shabalala is doing well. The youngsters are very, very good. And it's nice to see. I mean, Sundowns, we won't even go there because they've been outstanding. The core of the team, Ronwen Williams, has been exceptional once again. So yeah, there's been quite a few players. Jamie Webber's been brilliant for us. Mkize,
Elias
been
as well.
brilliant. Elias Mokwana has been, Vuzi Muzi, Ngube has been. There's so many that have really put their hands up this year, which is nice to see, and even Jaden Adams.
But isn't it getting to a point now where you're like, these youngsters are fitter, they're faster, they're stronger? Aren't you getting to that point now? It's like just getting tough now.
No, not really. I still think I run like a 20-year-old. I mean, you can see it in my games. I don't give up, I push myself as much as I can, and I play every game like it's my last game. You never know what can happen. The next day you're gone. So it's a challenge for me also to keep up with them. So
just before we wrap it up, 2 burning questions for you. You said something about like when you were planning your career, like what am I gonna do after soccer? Talking about professionalism and things like that. I'm sure you're thinking about it. Do you want to be a business owner? Do you want to be a coach? Do you want to sell cars? You know what I mean?
No, of course. Look, I've been planning for my. You never know what can happen. I mean, I can break a leg. Touch wood, I don't. I can get sick. You never know what happens. So I've set myself up quite a bit. I'm actually busy now building my own facility out in Alberton, football academy. We're busy grading fields and all of that and getting that project on the way. I've had my academy now for 2 years.
Okay.
I got a castle, the Hollywood's Bet franchise.
It's already in motion.
That's in motion.
What's the name of the team?
Olympia. We play out of the talent club. And obviously looking for all talent to come through and all of that, trying to get funds for that, sponsors and all of that to come on board. And then also I've ventured into other businesses with a few friends. So I've set myself up nicely for after live football, but definitely going to be coaching. I only know football. I have a lot of passion for football, and I want to help the youth that are coming up, and I want to nurture them. And I've made contacts overseas, so football is definitely my forte.
So you want to be a coach, like at your academy manager. Coach?
No, look, I want to start doing my coaching badges and all of that now.
Will you go through the CAF ones? Or
both CAF and UEFA, and maybe in the future coach in the PSL or in Europe, wherever it takes me.
Okay, so get the academy, this Olympia thing now, is it just first team or is it like under 13?
No, we go all the way from grassroots level, from 3 up until 17, and then from 17 you make a jump into the castle. So we compete in the Easterns League, DBK Football Stars, but we're affiliated with Olympia, and we've been with them now this will be our 2nd year competing in the ELF.
So how are you managing to use your time of being professional footballer and that? Or is it
I split it. Look, I split it in between. My son also plays. So I take him to training and all of that. And when he's at training, I'll be at the boys. But I've got a partner that runs it with me, Brandon Barkhuizen. He used to play at Wit.
It sounds familiar. Yes.
Yeah, I used to play back in the day. And he's held it together for us, and he knows that once I'm done playing football, things will fall into place, and that's why we want we're building it up now, so once football's done, it's smooth running.
This might be a personal question, but you can choose to answer it or not. But you said something interesting. I can't play football for 2,500 rand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what was the highest that it got to where you like, I'm a professional now?
Yeah, look, if you look at it now, it's I've seen some PSL teams paying players 10,000 rand.
I know.
And for me, a player can't live off of that. He has rent to pay. Yes.
It's not a play. Not anybody.
It's hard living, and I think that owners do need to realize that it is tough living out there. Everything else, expenses goes up, but our salaries stay the same. And for a professional player, 25, 30, I would say is reasonable, but that's for a youngster, not a grown man who has a family and he still supports his mother and his grandparents.
Yeah.
So it is tough out there. It's not easy. If you look in the Vodacom League, you're still getting players that are playing for 500 rand, and that's their job.
Getting it out of an envelope.
And it's hard. So I do wish that the money can get better for footballers in South Africa, especially in the lower divisions. And that's what I'm also trying to, why I need sponsors to come on board, is because we want to pay our players and we want them to feel like this is their job.
So that's the why you never ended up in the NFT.
Yeah.
But my question was, what was the amount that you said I'm a professional now?
I would say about 24,000, 25,000 rand. But back then,
it was different.
It was livable.
Yeah.
Now 20,000 rand doesn't get you nowhere.
Yeah.
So life has changed. I mean, back then rent was 3,000 rand, and you could live in a very decent place.
Yeah.
Now 18,000 rand gets you to a nice place alone.
Yeah.
So life has changed, and I think that we also need to expect a little bit more.
But I do think you, honestly, overall, you had a career that you can be proud of. Like you said, many of your peers just gave up. You decided to kick on and carve an impressive career in the PSL. I think you even played for Bafana a couple of times as well. So yeah, I hope it's not the last we've seen of you. Looking forward to seeing what next season and the season after, like you said, holds for you. And yeah, good luck and all the best for the future.
Thank you very much for having me, and I hope to see you guys soon.
Yeah, so that's end of episode 10 of the Bettor Podcast. Very insightful, unfiltered as usual. Daniel Cardoso. We hope to have him back. We hope to see him, friends of the podcast, and we'll also be keeping a watchful eye on his Olympia Football Club and his coaching career over the next few years. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.